Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about the conditional statements in Java. So go ahead and open your Android Studio, click on Start a new Android Studio project, empty activity, and the application name is going to be Conditional Statements in Java. So here, the package name, this save location path, the language is Java, and the minimum API level is 16. And let's uncheck this include navigation controller if you are using Android Studio 3.3. So let's go ahead and click on finish. So now this dialog opens for me because I'm using the Android Studio Canary version 3.3. I'm going to click on yes. So here you can see that two processes are running now. We should be patient a little bit so that these processes finish and then we can continue working on our project. So now let's go and open the main activity.java file. Let's go inside this onCreate method. Now we are going to learn about if statements in Java. So if statement is a condition, a Boolean condition, that it can be either true or false. So first let's create a Boolean variable. And let's say that, for example, my laptop is Mac or MacBook. So here it is the name of my Boolean variable. So we can either assign a true or a false value to this variable. So I'm going to assign the value true to this variable. My laptop is a MacBook. So here I can create a condition. I can say if my laptop is MacBook. So if my laptop is MacBook, then I can go ahead and print a value to the log. I'm going to say log.I, my tag. And finally, we just need to say, for example, yes, it is true. So let's go ahead and run our project. Now go ahead and open the logcat, as always. Let's now enter the value of the tag here. And now we can see inside the logcat area, it says, yes, it is true. So here we used an if statement. An if statement starts with the keyword if, and we have a pair of parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you just put the condition. So here it is the condition. We said that if my laptop is MacBook. So this means that if the value of this my laptop is MacBook variable is true, we can explicitly specify that too. We can say if my laptop is MacBook is equal to true. So when you put this condition here, whether you put the true here or not, this means that if my laptop is MacBook is true, then go ahead and execute the code inside the curly braces of this if statement. So an if statement starts with an opening curly brace followed by a closing curly braces. So inside the curly braces, we have this value, yes, it is true. And because this condition inside the parentheses is actually true, then this line of code inside the curly braces of this if statement is executed. That's why you can see inside the logcat area that this value is outputted. So what happens if I assign the value false to this variable, right? Now that we assign the value false to this variable, it is going to execute this if statement. And it's going to take a look at the value of this variable, and it is false. So it says if my laptop is MacBook is true, so it is not because we assigned the value false to this variable, then it's not going to execute this if statement at all. It's gonna skip this if statement. So if I run the app now, first let's clear this logcat area and run the app now. So now the app is running, but there is nothing here in the logcat area because the value of this variable my laptop is MacBook is now false, and this if statement here is only checking for when this variable is true. So what happens if this value is not true? It is actually false. So we can say after the ending curly brace of this if statement, I can say else if. So else if my laptop is MacBook is not true. So in order to show that the not true operator, we use the exclamation mark and the equal operator. Okay, so the exclamation mark and the equal operator means not. So then we say true. So if the value of this my laptop is MacBook is not true, then we can go ahead and put a pair of curly braces here, and then inside the curly braces we can put another value and say that no, it is not true. So here let's take a look at this if statement again. Here, first we have an if statement, and we say that if the value of this variable is true, then execute this line of code, and if this condition here evaluates to true, then it's not gonna execute this else if statement, because this if statement here, this condition is already true. So it's gonna skip this else if statement here because of this else keyword. So if it is true, then it's gonna execute this line of code, and then it's gonna skip to the ending curly brace of this else if, and then continue executing other codes. But if the condition of this if statement here is not true, if the value of this my laptop is MacBook is not true, then it's gonna go and execute this else if statement. It's gonna take a look at this condition inside the parentheses, and it's gonna say that else if the value of this my laptop is MacBook is not true, then it's gonna execute this line of code. So now, because the value of this variable is now false, my laptop is MacBook is false, then it's gonna execute this else if statement. So let's go ahead and run our application and see what happens. So open the logcat, and here we should see a value. It says no, it is not true. So now I think it makes sense that why we use if statements. Now let's go back here. So now that we have this if statement here, what if I delete this else here? What if I say that only we have two if statements without the else keyword before the second if statement? In that case, the compiler is going to take a look at this code, and it's going to check this condition. If my laptop is MacBook is true, then it's going to execute this line of code here. But after that, because we don't have an else if here, it's going to also execute this if statement. Okay, so that's why if you want to check for a specific condition, I strongly suggest that you use the else if sometimes. But if you want both of your if statements to be executed, then you can just use a single if statements without the else keyword. So in Java, we have something called logical operators. So for example, you can see that we have the equal operator like this. We put two equal operators, and now it is called an equal operator. But the single equal operator is called assignment operator. So now here is your challenge. So go ahead and write an Android app that takes two numbers from the user as an input and output the greater number to the screen. So good luck. So here is how you solve this challenge. First, we need to go and open the activity_minute.xml file. And then let's go ahead and delete this text view. Now we need two edit texts. So I'm gonna drag them here. Let's add the constraints first. Here you can see that also the theme of the application is changed. If you don't like this theme, here at the top menu, you can see that we have some icons. So for example, you can just click on this light, and then you can choose another theme. So I'm gonna click on more themes, and then here I'm gonna click on material dark, and I can choose one of these themes, or I can go ahead and click on material light, and then I can choose the material dot light dot dark action bar. I like the dark action bar, and then click on OK. So here I can have a dark action bar here. So next, let's add the second edit text. Let's add the constraints. Now let's also add an ID to the first edit text, edt first number, and the second one, edt second number. Next, let's delete the text of these two edit texts. And then let's give a hint to both of these edit texts. Please enter the first number. And select the second edit text and here the hint attribute. So sometimes inside this attribute section, it might not actually allow you to write a text here. It might, for example, choose another value or another reference. In order to solve this problem, you can just go ahead and switch to the text tab and then select your edit text, and then you can specify a hint here. So I can just say, for example, hint, and I can just type in here, please enter the second number, ... Okay, now let's switch to the design tab. Now let's go ahead and drag a button for the ID. Just type in here btn calculate, and the text is going to be calculate. Okay, so now let's go to our main activity. First, we need to declare our UI objects. So first we have an edit text. So I can just type in here edit text, and the first one is edt first number. So instead of declaring our edit text objects in 2 lines, we can declare them in only 1 line. So I can put a comma here and declare the name of the second edit text, which is going to be edt second number, semicolon. So in this way, we know that we have 2 variables of type edit text. The name of the first variable is edtfn, and the name of the second variable is edtsn. And then we can go inside this onCreate method and initialize them. So I can say edtfn, assignment operator, find view by id, r.id.edtfn. And also for the second edit text. Next, we need to declare our button. So let's declare it inside our class so that we can access these objects, these UI objects, from any methods inside the class. So we have the btn calculate. Next, let's go and open the activity underline main.xml. Select this button, and for the onClick attribute, we can just type in here calculate button pressed. Now let's go and open our main activity.java file. So let's go inside the main activity class. Make sure that you are inside the curly braces of the main activity class, not the onCreate method. So in order to find out of which ending curly brace is related to which one, you can just click on the ending curly brace. For example, I clicked on this one, and here you can see that at the top it's showing me that this ending curly brace is related to the onCreate method. So this means that we need to go to this curly brace that is related to the class. And then I can just type in here public void calculate button pressed. Make sure that the method name that you specify here is exactly the same value that you specified for the onClick attribute. And then we just need to put a pair of parentheses. So then we just need to put a pair of parentheses, and then we put the parameter name, which is of type view, and we can say button view as the name of this parameter. And finally, we just need to go ahead and put our codes inside this method. Next, now that we have the edit texts and the button, we can go ahead and get the values of our edit texts. So I'm going to type in here int, and I can say first number, assignment operator, and then I just need to refer to this edtfn.getText.toString. But we need to convert it to an integer value by using the integer class, integer.parseInt, semicolon, and then the second number, edtSn.getText.toString, and a semicolon. So then we need to create an if statement. So if the first number, the value of the first number is greater than the value of the second number, we can go ahead and change the text of the button. So I'm gonna say btn calculate dot set text, and then we can change the text to be first number is greater than second number. So here, let me tell you that the operator that we used here is the greater than operator. And then we need to create an else if statement. So else if the first number is less than the second number, so I can either say first number is less than the second number, or I can say the second number is greater than the first number. Whatever you want, you can choose it. So now we can go ahead and set the text of our button to be something else. And here we can say the second number is greater than the first number. So I'm gonna select this first and change it to second, and then select this second to first. So hopefully that makes sense. Do we have any other conditions? Yes. What if the value of the first number is equal to the value of the second number? So in that case, we can create an else if statement. So else if the first number is equal to the second number. And here we can just say that the btn calculate dot set text to be equal. So here, let's run the app and let's see what happens. So first, let's enter the first number, which is going to be number 5. The second number, number 2. Let's click on calculate. So it says that the first number is greater than second number. So it's true. Let's say that the first number is 50 and the second number is 200. Now let's click on this button. Now it says that the second number is greater than the first number. Okay. Let's change the first number to 200. Let's click on this button. Now it says equal. So let's go back to Android Studio. So instead of, take a look at this third condition. We said that else if first number is equal to second number. So we don't have any other conditions. We have already checked for the greater than operator and the less than operator. So the number that the user can enter inside our edit text, maybe this is the only condition that could happen. So we don't have to put this condition here either. We can just put an else block. So else block means that the above conditions evaluated to false and they were not executed. So then it's going to execute the else statement. So now we can run the app and expect the same result to happen. If it sounds a little bit confusing, that's okay. As we are creating lots of applications in this course, you will get completely comfortable with these concepts. So for the first number, let's enter the value of 100. And for the second number, again, 100. Let's click on this button. So now it says equal. Okay, so the else statement means that the above conditions, if this if statement and this else if statement evaluated to false and they were not executed, okay, so then it's going to execute this else statement. So now that our application works fine, so here it is, the final challenge of this tutorial. Go ahead and create a job form application. I want you to qualify the user based on the age and whether the user is an Android developer or not. If the user is actually above 18 and the user is also an Android developer, the user is qualified to get the job. But if the user, for example, is below 18 and the user is an Android developer, then the user is not qualified to get the job. And I want both of these variables to be true, the age and the being an Android developer. This is very important. It can be a little bit tough, but you can do it. You can go ahead and Google a little bit in order to solve this challenge. And you can also share your results with other students of this course. And when you are done, continue watching this tutorial and see how I am going to solve this problem. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add 2 more edit texts into our layout. So I'm gonna click on text inside this palette section and drag this plain text here. So let's add the constraints first and then select this edit text, and for the ID just type in here EDT age and then delete the text attribute, and for the hint attribute I'll just type in here please enter your age. So next let's drag another edit text. Just add the constraints. And then for the ID, it is going to be EDT Android developer. So just type in here EDT Android developer. Let's delete the value of the text attribute, and let's also specify a hint here. So I can say, are you an Android developer? So the user is supposed to enter yes or no. Later in the course, we will learn about checkbox and we will learn how to solve such problems by using checkbox or radio group. So now let's set the layout width of this edit text to match constraint. So I'm gonna find the layout width and instead I'm gonna choose match constraint. So now we can see the value of the hint here. Now that we have these 2 edit texts, we need another button. So I'm gonna drag a button here. Let's add the constraints. So if you do not specify the proper constraints, when you run the app, your layout will be disorganized. So for example, if I don't add this top constraint of this button, so I just need to double click on it. So now here, I'm gonna double click on this constraint on the top edge of this button. So now the constraint is deleted. Now let's run the app and let's see what happens. So here you can see that our button, instead of being below this edit text, is now at the top. So this is now disorganized. So that's why the constraints inside the constraint layout is very important. So we need to add the constraint to the bottom edge of this edit text. Okay, now it's good. Let's select this button, and for the ID just type in here btn qualify, and the text should be qualify. So now let me drag this button a little bit to the bottom. Now it's good. So let's go, and also we need to specify the onClick attribute of the button. So here we should click on view all attributes and search for onClick. And then here we can say qualify the user. So sometimes the Android Studio would not register the text or the value that you specify for the attributes, and you need to enter them again. So I'm going to type here qualify the user. So that's why it's very important when you enter a value for a specific attribute inside the attribute section that you press an enter key on your keyboard so that you make sure that it is registered. So qualify the user. Okay, now it's good. I'm gonna copy this value and I'm gonna go to the main activity class. So again, let's go inside the curly braces of this main activity class here. So you should be sure that you are inside the curly braces of the main activity class, not inside another method. And then I'm gonna say public void, and then I'm gonna paste the name of the method, parentheses. So we need to specify the parameter view, which is going to be the button view. So we get this parameter so that we have access to the button that is clicked. So the button view is actually the button that we are clicking on. For example, the btn qualify or the btn calculate. Sometimes this parameter comes into use. I will talk more about this feature later. So for now, we need to have a reference to the edit texts that we created, like this one. So you already know how to do that. So I'm not gonna record this part of the process because it's just gonna take a little bit of time that is not necessary. So here I have declared the edit texts, the edth and the edit Android developer. Next, I have declared the btn qualify, and then I initialized all of these UI components. We have the edth, edit Android developer, and the btn qualify. So now let's go ahead and go inside the curly braces of this qualify the user function, so that when the user clicks on the btn qualify, this function is going to be executed. So first we need to get the value of the edit texts. So let's create a variable in order to get the age. So I'm going to type in here int, and the name is going to be age. So first, because we need to convert this value to an integer value, I'm going to type in here int parse int, and then refer to the edt age dot get text dot string. Next, we need to get the value of the edt Android developer. We want to know whether the user is an Android developer or not. So let's say that the name is Android developer. Assignment operator. So we don't have to convert the value that we get from the edit text to an integer value. We can just directly refer to our edt Android developer that get text and then convert it to a string value, because we are assigning this value to a variable of type string, semicolon. Next, we can create an if statement. So if the age, the value of the age that is provided by the user, is actually greater than 18, so we have another condition. We must be sure that the user is an Android developer. So we have another condition. So here we can use the AND logical operator. So after the AND logical operator, so you can see that I put two AND logical operators. I can say the Android developer is equal to this text, yes. And then I can go ahead and open and close this if statement by using these curly braces. So first, I am making sure that the user is greater than 18, the age is greater than 18, and so this AND logical operator means that both of the conditions at the left and right hand side of the operator must be true. If only one of these conditions evaluate to true, then it's not going to execute this if statement. So this is very important. The age must be greater than 18 and the user must be an Android developer. The value of this variable must be yes. So that's why the logical operators used frequently in Android development. If this condition is true, we can say we can create a toast message, toast.makeText. So first we need to pass the context. So I'm going to pass the this, and then the text is going to be you are qualified for the job. And then finally we put a comma, and we need to specify the duration of the message, which is going to be long. So I'm going to type in here toast.length long, and I'm going to call the show method on this toast object. So we have also an else statement. So we can say else if the condition here is not true. For example, if the user is age, if the user age is greater than 18 and the user is not an Android developer, it's not going to execute this if statement. So then it's going to go ahead and execute this else statement. So in that case, we just want to paste this toast message and show that you are not qualified for the job. So here, let me tell you that if the user is greater than 18 and the user is an Android developer, it's going to execute this if statement. If the user is not greater than 18 and the user is an Android developer, it's not going to execute this if statement. If the user is below 18 and the user is an Android developer, the value is yes, again, it's not going to execute this if statement. So both of the conditions at the left hand side and the right hand side of this AND logical operator must be true, so that the whole expression evaluates to true, and then it's gonna go ahead and go inside the curly braces of this if statement and execute this line of code. So now let's run the app and let's see that it works fine or not. So here it says please enter your age. I'm gonna enter, for example, number 12, and it says are you an Android developer? I'm gonna say no. So let's see what happens. If I click on qualify, it says you are not qualified for the job. So for the age, I'm going to enter the value 20. And for this edit text, are you an Android developer? I'm going to enter the value yes. Make sure the value that you put here starts with a capital Y, because here for this if statement, we specify this text, and you can see that it starts with a capital Y. So Android app development or Java app development in general is case sensitive. So you should be careful about this one here. So I'm gonna put the yes here, and I'm gonna click on qualify. And now it says you are not qualified for the job. So here we have another problem. This syntax Android developer is equal to yes does not work here. So you have another challenge here. You need to go ahead and solve this challenge and find a way to say that whether the text of this edit text is equal to a value or not. If that variable, for example this one, Android developer, is equal to this value, then do something. For now, this syntax doesn't work. Your challenge is to find another way to solve this problem. So you need to do a little bit of Googling to find the answer. So in order to solve this problem, instead of saying Android developer is equal to this value, I'm gonna delete this equal and this text, and I'm gonna say dot, so Android developer dot, so we have something called equals, and put two text and type in here yes. Now by using this equals method, we can actually test this feature. It might not work either. So be careful about this, because developing Android applications is all about trial and error. This is very important. Sometimes you don't know what happens when you use a specific method, and you don't have to know. You just need to test it, and if it works, then it works and you can use it. So let's go ahead and run our app and see whether it works or not. So let's enter the age. So I'm gonna enter the value number 20, and then enter the value yes with capital Y, and here I'm gonna click on qualify. Now it says you are qualified for the job. So now this works. This equals yes works. And if you want to search online in order to solve a specific problem, we can go ahead and open our web browser, and here I searched for this value. I searched how to check a string value is equal to another value in Java. So here it is the answer. It says that if A is equal to B, if the same syntax that we used before, then it says this equal operator checks to see if the two strings are exactly the same object. So this means that the same object that we have inside a heap memory. So it doesn't work. We want to check for the actual value. So now it says that dot equals method will check if the two strings have the same value. So that's what we are after. So strings in Java are immutable. Immutable means that they cannot be changed. So we have mutable and immutable. Mutable means that it can be changed. Immutable means that it cannot be changed. By changing it means that it cannot be changed in the memory. So if I click on this link on the Stack Overflow, here you can see the complete answer. So hopefully that makes sense. So here I have another challenge for you. So for example, we want to know that if the user is greater than 18, if the user age is greater than 18, and it doesn't matter whether the user is an Android developer or not. So you need to go ahead and find a way to solve this problem. So we don't care about whether the user is an Android developer or not. We just want to make sure that the user age is greater than 18. And then if this condition evaluates to true, then we can say that the user is qualified for the job. So you can do a little bit of Googling to find the answer. Good luck. So in order to solve this problem, we have another logical operator that is used frequently in Android development or Java development, that is called the OR operator. So here it is the AND operator. I'm going to delete it, and instead I'm going to use the OR operator. So here you just need to hold down the shift key on your keyboard and then press on the / key on your keyboard. So here I'm gonna hold down the shift key and then the / key 2 times. So this is called the OR operator. And here I am saying that if the age is greater than 18 or the Android developer that equals yes. So what does this do? This means that if the value of the age variable is greater than 18, then we don't care whether the user is an Android developer or not. In that case, the whole expression evaluates to true, and then we can go ahead and go inside the curly braces of this if statement and execute this line of code. So we need only one of these conditions to be true. So for example, if the value of this age variable is not greater than 18, and here we have this Android developer that equals to yes, or in other words, if the second expression evaluates to true and the first expression evaluates to false, again the whole expression here evaluates to true, and it's gonna go ahead and execute this line of code. So only one of these conditions at the left hand side or the right hand side of this operator should be true, so that the whole operation evaluates to true. But if both of these conditions evaluate to false, then the value of the whole expression evaluates to false, and it's not going to execute this if statement. So let's go ahead and test this feature. So now it says that please enter your age. So for the age, I'm going to enter the value 30, and it says, are you an Android developer? I'm going to say no. So now it should say you are qualified for the job. Now it says you are qualified for the job. So let's say that the age is free, and for the Android developer, I'm going to say yes with capital Y. And now let's click on qualify. Now it says you are qualified for the job. So it works fine so far. And now let's enter the wrong values for both of these edit texts. Let's say that the age is free and the Android developer is, for example, no. And now it should say you are not qualified for the job. So that's why this OR operator is very important. We can use it a lot in Android app development or Java app development. So we have the AND operator and the OR operator. So in the next tutorial, we are going to learn about for loops in Java. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.